books of the dead, monkey paws, totems, creepy dolls, puzzles, and boxes with everything imaginable in them. Spooky objects have been commonplace in horror movies for as long as there's actually been, well, horror movies. For some films though, those supposedly inanimate items are a lot more alive than you'd at first thought, rising up and becoming the villains of their respective pictures. With that in mind, I'm Andrew from What Culture Horror, and here are 10 horror movies where the villain is a supposedly inanimate object. Number 10. A haunted red dress in fabric. Peter Strickland's absurd 2018 horror In Fabric centers on bank teller Sheila, who struggles to make ends meet while contesting with her obnoxious son's older girlfriend, and a string of decidedly Kafka reprimands at work. Entranced by a flowing red dress in her local department store, Sheila soon finds herself menaced by nightmares, visions, and, as it happens, the dress itself. Simple, elegant, and with a nasty bite, the dress drifts across rooms at will, destroys washing machines from the inside out, and manifests the deaths of its wearers without choking, strangling, or any of the other methods of attack one might expect from sentient clothing. Everything in Fabric is slightly unreal, from the dialogue to the oversaturated palette, and it produces a classic horror style that doesn't care whether you can see the seams so long as you're thoroughly uncomfortable. Number 9. A Cursed Mirror. Oculus. While this Mike Flanagan movie and its low-budget predecessor don't share an awful lot between them, they do have one defining element in common. Their villain, the laser glass. Spoiler alert, it's a mirror. Oculus sees Kaylee and Tim Russell go up against the mirror in a battle of wits that might seem comical if it weren't for the mirror's ability to control human perception. Thus, as the big shiny antique stands silent and sinister in the corner, the people around it unwittingly harm each other, put themselves in mortal danger, and in one particularly hard to watch scene, take a bite out of a big juicy light bulb. Tasty. Simultaneously a classic cursed object feature and meditation on mental health and generational trauma, Oculus covers a lot of ground in a short time. But while we know for sure the glass is haunted and evil and storing images of its victims like pirated movies, there is never a conclusive answer on how or why it came to be like this. Number 8. A Killer Jacket. Deerskin. Quentin Dupieux's Deerskin finds its horror and inadvertently its villain in one of the most familiar places, the contemporary gentleman's midlife crisis. George buys a second-hand deerskin jacket for more than anyone might reasonably consider it to be worth, and gets himself a free digital camcorder thrown in for good measure. Who doesn't like a freebie? He checks into a remote hotel and, cut off from his bank account by his soon-to-be ex-wife, poses as a filmmaker while roping in a local amateur editor to fund his new passion. Although George initially seems content to capture beauty shots of local scenery, his fancy new jacket has other ideas, and soon has him shooting a gonzo snuff movie. Deerskin takes a surprisingly restrictive visual approach, never actually showing the jacket doing anything of its own accord, but merely influencing the people it comes into contact with. As he collects his victims out where to be burned, fulfilling the deerskin jacket's dream of being the only jacket in the world, it becomes apparent George may have gone off the rails, just a smidge. Number 7. A Hungry Bed. Deathbed. The bed that eats. Yeah, there's simply no hiding what George Barry's Deathbed, the bed that eats is about, or who the villain of the piece is. Yeah, it is a bed. Once every 10 years, that bed comes alive, possessed by the blood and spirit of a demon who lost the love of his life on that very same mattress, with a thirst and a hunger like any of us would experience after a decade without some food. Separated into 4 courses, the film shows the bed consuming a smorgasbord of human offerings in the fallen down mansion where it resides, or watched over by an artist condemned to immortality behind a painting in the bedroom. Yeah, I didn't say this made much sense, but the bed that eats has gained something of a cult following since the 70s. And what's not to love? There's sex, rituals, and blood aplenty, and when it's all said and done, the bed gets its comeuppance and the artist finally gets to die. Number 6. A Witchy Weave. Bad Hair. Set in the late 80s, Justin Simien's Bad Hair sees career-minded young black woman Anna attempting to take the next step on her path to greatness in the world of music television. Except the white-centric music world's expectations won't let her, at least not with her short curly hairdo. To integrate into the mainstream and get moving on her career, Anna has to get herself a super smooth weave. Although it works at first, the new hairpiece has bigger, badder ideas than a raise and her new boyfriend. Anna's weave quite literally has a mind of its own and is intent on possessing Anna manner to do its bidding, feeding on the blood of their victims before then turning on her. The wig is in fact made from the hair of dead witches, harking back to a black slave who first made a wig from tree moss, not realizing the supernatural power it contained. Deeply ingrained with themes of race and inequality, Bad Hair is a smart, sophisticated movie with way more going on than its attention-grabbing headline point of a possessed wig. Number 5. A Murderous Doll. Child's Play. Tom Holland's 1988 classic horror Child's Play amassed a massive fan base and spawned, in the many years to come, some 6 sequels and an absolutely amazing TV series. But while much has been said of the original, little gets said about the rather excellent 2019 reboot. Whether in the original or the new breed, the essential component of Child's Play success is the pint-sized villain known as Chucky. Voiced to perfection by the ever-dexterous Mark Hamill in the 2019 Child's Play, Chucky is a high-tech buddy doll designed with adapted functionality for a new age of playtime and an AI-sensitive society. Sabotaged to remove all of his safety protocols, the doll goes off the rails and starts carving up his new neighborhood before seeking to take control of a small army of buddies. Next up, world domination. While he is an ordinary doll possessed by a murderer in the original movies, the new and improved Chucky is a legitimately rogue object, acting without cause or conscience, and in many ways this makes him so much more frightening than the original, because while we might be able to kinda reason with the spirit of Charles Lee Ray in a doll's body, we can neither barter with nor fully understand the machinations of just a mad robot. Number 4. Possessed Jeans. Slacks. In 2020, director Elsa Kephart sought to make sure we thought twice before our next shopping spree, because in the changing rooms, no one can hear you scream. Set in the Canadian cotton clothiers store, Slacks focuses around the launch of the new Super Shaper jeans, designed to give everyone that perfect fit. But these jeans don't want to be worn and go on a rampage of strangling, impaling, and dismembering anyone who even considers slipping them on. But that's not all. The jeans are possessed by a 13-year-old Indian child laborer who was killed in the company's cotton fields. Turns out Canadian cotton clothiers' ethical image is a front, and management will do anything to keep that secret from getting out. Far more on the nose than Bad Hair, but built in very much the same mold, Slacks' shapely villain comes with plenty of manic imagery. Jeans lapping blood off the floor, jeans slapping someone clean in half, jeans choking an influencer to death. Yes, all of the above are accounted for and present. Number 3. An evil car. Christine. Set in the late 1970s, John Carpenter's Christine dives into the life of Arnie Cunningham, who falls in love with a beat-up old red Plymouth Fury named, you guessed it, Christine. Shunning his jock friends and defying his uptight family, Arnie spends the bulk of his time working on the car and begins to experience a change, ditching his glasses, talking like a greaser, and making waves with the ladies. But it's more than the kind of boost in morale a new set of wheels can give you, for Arnie is driving under Christine's influence, and she's got some pretty firm ideas about who he should be, who he should date, and, you guessed it, who he should kill. Unlike other supposedly inanimate villains, Christine doesn't just influence Arnie, but has a mind of her own and a tremendously possessive and jealous personality. She can fix herself, drive herself, and is determined to be the only woman in Arnie's life, till death do they part and all of that jazz. Sony and Blumhouse are currently developing the remake with Star Trek Discovery's Brian Fuller at the helm, but there's simply nothing better than watching Christine crush, burn, and obliterate her enemies to an original John Carpenter soundtrack. Number 2. A psychokinetic tire. Rubber. A self-proclaimed homage to the philosophy of no reason, Rubber torches the usual cinematic conventions with an on-screen audience watching the film through binoculars, characters called Lieutenant Chad, accountant and son, and a villain named Robert who is about 2 feet tall, hollow, and made of rubber. Robert is a telekinetic car tire, you see, with a penchant for making living creatures explode. And he's not just the villain, he's also the film's main character. A mass murderer with singular intent and seemingly no discernible personality or emotions, Robert awakens and goes on a journey through the Californian desert, killing who he can and developing an unhealthy obsession with the one person he can't, that being Sheila. If you're looking for sense, it won't make any. If you're looking for answers, you won't find any. But Robert is gory, meta, funny as hell, and to be honest, probably the best psychokinetic tire horror movie there's ever been. Number 1. Pretty much everything. Maximum Overdrive. The film that began and pretty much ended Stephen King's filmmaking career, Maximum Overdrive shows why some writers should just stick to writing. With an interesting and utterly manic premise ripped straight from King's Trucks short story, the film sees all of the world's machines turn sentient and embark on a mass killing spree. It's difficult to pin down a single villain here, as pretty much everything electric decides it is time to have some fun with their human overlords and establish something of a new New World Order. NWO for life, baby. The spate of creative mishaps and fatalities involves trucks, road rollers, ATMs, and vending machines, and fun and thoroughly gory shenanigans guide the Earth towards an apocalypse. Of all of the films on this list, Maximum Overdrive will be the one most remembered for having the least impact. Neither a moneymaker, critical success, nor a fan favourite, every frame sadly smacks of King's inexperience as a director, but still, a hell of an author. So that's our 10 horror movies where the villain is a supposedly inanimate object. Be sure to like, subscribe, comment, share, turn those notification bells on, and come and give us a follow on X at What Culture Horror. While you're there, you can find myself at Cultured Left Peg, but most importantly, just be sure to have the best possible day. Whether you're doing something or whether you're doing just absolutely nothing, I hope it goes well for you. I've been Andrew Powell from What Culture Horror, and I'll catch you down the road.